As a preliminary matter, this is Deborah Mooney. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Rajesh?
Present.
Melanie?
Yes.
Martha? Gail?
Present.
Perna? Jim?
Affirmative.
We have a quorum. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Rowan McAllister?
Present.
All right. So, good evening. This open meeting of Community Preservation Committee is being conducted remotely, and Martha has joined us. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Community Preservation Committee is convening by conference via Google Meet as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. So, meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our meeting and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I am standing in for our chair, Jason Molina, will introduce each board member or staff member who has the lead role for this particular item or guest speaker associated with the item on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members first and then to staff members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. I will then call upon members to offer a motion and then for a second. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute and unmute your phone by pressing *6 or mute your computer when you are not speaking, as to not trigger your camera feed or background noise. So with that, let's turn to the agenda. Got our official call to order. And we will start with item 2, review and approve the application documents. Have you all had a chance to take a look? There weren't many comments added. We made a few changes, but Rowan did send out the final copy. Is there anything? The only thing Jason had mentioned that he was wondering, there is within the application package is a 1-page with a table of allowable uses. And he was interested in your opinions on whether we should keep that with the application packet or if that might muddy the waters. And should we just tell people to refer to the plan? That was Jason's question. I'll share my opinion after you all have a chance. Any thoughts? Melanie?
I'd be happy to see that go. It's small print. It looks awful. And I think it's just going to confuse people at this stage. And I'd be happy to see it just be removed and just have it in the plan. It's just my opinion. Anybody else have anything to say?
What do the rest of you think? Help or a hindrance? Martha says no. But I think that we probably feel the majority of our quorum feels that it should go. So we don't have to vote on that, but that was part of how to make sure that we have all the parts and pieces. Is there anything else about the application? Are there questions we might have forgotten to ask? Do you feel like it makes sense? I know I personally look at things like this all day, every day, but I want it to be user friendly for folks who may not have that wonderful opportunity I do. But if everyone thinks it's settled, but without that page of allowable uses, it's their motion to accept the application. Rowan, is there anything else you think we should discuss about it?
No, I would just direct everyone's attention to the Google Drive link that I included. I just sent it as part of your invite, and that would bring you to the folder for today's meeting, which has within it a clean copy version of the application that has that page missing based on Jason's comments. So if you want to just take a last glimpse at that document, it's titled something draft CC, right? So just when you make a motion, you can refer to that copy, if just to keep it clean. But nothing else.
So a lot of work went into that. We thank everyone who did work on it and your thoughts and reviews. There's no other comments or questions about it. Is there a motion to approve the application as sent in the current link from Rowan?
I
So,
move that we accept the application as sent in Rowan's current link.
Second?
second.
I believe we have to do a roll call vote in favor. Okay, I'm going to do it by what I see on my screen. Melanie?
In favor, yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Jim?
Approve.
Rajesh?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We've approved our application. Another piece done. Congratulations. Next on our agenda is to review and approve proposed changes to community preservation plan. Rowan also sent out a redlined copy as well as a clean copy of that. Was there anything else in there that folks had seen? Something that a few months of looking at it suddenly had an aha moment? Or are we feeling that that is also complete? And is there anything about the updates that you feel like you should share that would help folks?
Yes. Let me pull it up. The main change I want to highlight is that the coalition reviewed our goals as written and drafted by us a while ago at this point. But one of their comments was regarding one of the historic preservation goals, which you'll see in the red line document that I see a few of you are in, that they recommended getting rid of the third goal under historic preservation, which was formally support the survey of historic resources for public awareness. And I don't have, I apologize, the original comments are in maybe a different folder, but the gist of the comment was simply that is actually, that type of funding may not be applicable or eligible for CPA funds, and that we may not want to include it in our goals. Did everyone get a chance to see that and read those comments, or would you like me to add that document back to our shared folder right now? I certainly can.
Gail?
I'm okay with that. Having put that in there, I'm kind of surprised because in our research, there was situations where funding was applied for that type of survey. So I think that's why that was put in there. But I'm comfortable with leaving it out for now, and you know, we can always address it at a later point if the situation comes up. So I'm okay with the deletion of it.
Any other thoughts? My opinion is deferring to the experts, and in this area, it's Gail and the coalition. So if you're in agreement, my instinct is that's the way to go. Are there any other changes that we should think about, revisit?
I have one other, and I apologize. I only have one screen, so it's hard to navigate a little bit. But the other, I just want to call out the changes to the goals because, as we all know, that's what we'll be using to evaluate our upcoming applications. So I just want to highlight for members, but also for any members of the public that'll watch this at a later date, that one of the comments from the coalition regarding open space, the open space goals, was that in regards to the fourth and final open space goal, which was preserve and improve water quality in streams, ponds, and Lake Quincy through appropriate measures. The coalition highlighted that the only appropriate measure would be the purchasing of land for watershed protection, and they suggested to just say that in the goal, as to not leave it open-ended, as there is only one. Again, there's only one appropriate measure for that type of use. Perhaps Martha, I want to make sure you saw that comment as well.
I have not been able to find that comment, but I am in agreement with their suggestion. I think that it's best for us to be as clear and concise as possible. I do remember that discussion is that we were trying to be as comprehensive as we could about preserving water quality. Jim, you might have been part of that.
I was going to say the same thing, Martha. Sorry, didn't mean to cut across you.
Okay. But yes, for the purposes of this particular document, let's be as narrow as we can. So I am fine with accepting the coalition's comment.
And Rowan, if like next year or 2 years from now or whatever, if it does the ability to acquire land or acquire or protect watershed, right? Like if that changes, we have the ability to modify, right? Okay.
Yes, our plan is a dynamic document, and we will revisit it annually.
Yeah, and I think that's the only reason I think that when we were originally talking about this, Martha, that we tried to keep it broad because if things did change in the future, if we would have the ability to utilize whatever means are at our disposal to protect watershed, and if today the only way to do that is by purchase, then that's fine. But I just want to make sure that we have the ability, if needed, tomorrow, whatever tomorrow is, that if there are other methodologies that are available to us, that we can take advantage of them. So I'm good with the change as suggested at the bottom line.
I too, two experts concur. I have no expertise in that area to disagree. Are there any other changes, Rowan, that you want to highlight?
Not anything that would affect, I don't know, the upcoming applications as much as the goals. I did just add the PDF version from the coalition that they sent us. I think I had sent it in an email previously, but there it is. It's in your drive now. In case you're just curious to see what some of the changes are, there was a couple things, such as they struck some language regarding an indoor rec center because that would not be applicable for CPA funds in most cases. And there was a lot of tweaking of language that the coalition kind of said, well, there's some gray area, so referring to it like this might imply something that's not eligible. So most of those changes were just kind of shoring up all the language. I think we got rid of word cemetery and a list of a couple different open space categories, because cemeteries are only eligible under historic preservation, is my understanding from the coalition. So again, take another look if you need to, but if there's anything that we find we want to change back, or anything we want to change in the future, like Deb said, this is a living document that we'll reevaluate likely after our first round of funding is complete. So we might all have a little bit more insight as well as on this process by that point as well.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Just a question, Rowan, and maybe you know that this is just the version that I'm looking at, but like the entire document has, not including things that are being modified, but for the majority of the document, the font is in black, right? Until you get to the goals section, and then it turns to the appropriate color for that particular section. There is one section in the historic preservation area where all of the font is black, and then all of a sudden it turns to what looks like to be some version of red, and then it goes back to black, and then for the goals it goes back to red again. I just didn't know if that's intentional, if that's my view only, or if that's, should it be black, should it be, whatever color that is.
Yeah, I can look right now. I think if the committee's comfortable with it, I could also make those formatting changes outside of a meeting vote, if we continue to catch those little things.
Okay.
But I can certainly, let's see.
It's
Are you
20.
looking on?
It's page 20, if that helps.
Yeah, that does help. I can change it right now in our Google Doc, and then.
Yeah, I'm not saying it needs to be changed. I just was curious why. Like, you know what I mean? But
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
it's not a showstopper, if you will.
That list. Yeah. It is not supposed to be the goals. I'll be clear about that, but
we can take. You can do it. It's not a thing that we need to vote on, Rowan, or anything like that. I just wanted to bring it up for nothing else other than just to satisfy my curiosity.
Sure. We can change it either way.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, whether of the content or format? We think we might be done. If we think we might be done, then would someone care to make a motion to accept the proposed changes to the CP plan?
I will make a motion to accept the proposed changes to the CPC.
A second?
Second.
Martha seconds. All right, all in favor of accepting the proposed changes to the CP plan?
Can you roll call vote, please?
Melanie?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, off mute. Sorry, yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Rajesh?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So it's unanimous. Our plan is complete. Oh, that was a long time coming. So next on our agenda is to review workshop material for the workshop that you folks decided at our last meeting will be on August 1st at 7 p.m. Rowan, where will the workshop be?
In the Selectmen's Room at Town Hall.
And I believe, Rowan, you have the draft of the presentation. If you want to walk us through that, that would be great.
I do. So also in today's folders are a graphic I put together, as well as some language that Jason and I agreed upon for advertising. So just to throw it out, if you're part of any community groups, any boards or committees, or any kind of other email group, social media platforms, etc. You're welcome to share those things to get the word out. So the presentation I have up here is something Jason put together, and he would otherwise be presenting it if he were present. But it essentially, we can just walk through it very briefly. I think the intention for the workshop is to introduce any interested applicants to our application documents and process. It'll give prospective applicants a chance to ask questions of the committee. It'll also give us a good idea as to how many people are interested, what kind of questions do they have. It might give us a good opportunity if there are any sort of unknowns or things we didn't anticipate yet, things come up there. So I think it'll be a very helpful event for both us as a new committee and some applicants that are excited to apply for our funding. So this page, are you all able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Shows Jason's intended agenda, right? Fairly basic. But the PowerPoint should take up most of the meeting with some time for Q&As after. So going through role of the CPC, we'll just do that there. Role of the CPC, I'll pull up a couple pages of the community preservation plan, most likely the goals section and the eligible use table that we just decided to cut from the application documents. So we'll go over that then. We'll go over our goals that we have identified in the plan and speak to how the applicants or how the applications will need to fit within both of those needs and goals and eligible uses. And you're welcome. I guess I should just say, feel free to interrupt if you have questions. I might not have the answer, but I could relay them back to Jason. Then following, and I guess we can just go through it, right? Us as the committee, again, this is the slide for the community preservation plan. And then Jason and I both thought it was important to set the expectation of how much money we actually do have this year, and hopefully give folks an idea of how much is reasonable for them to start thinking about for funding. And then the real meat of the presentation is switching to the document that we just approved. We'll probably scroll through it. I'll have some printouts as well for people to take a look at, and we'll just walk through, likely allowing people to ask questions or clarifying certain things, maybe such as the co-sponsor form, things like that. Then the timeline. We'll also go through dates and deadlines, when things will need to be due and when things will need to be acted upon, or when things are acted upon. And then I guess a draft, but a Q&A and some resources. So any thoughts or questions or suggestions I can bring back to Jason as we continue to develop this for the first? Okay.
Gail, you had a question?
Well, it's a question, but it's a little off topic at the moment. I do have a couple of questions regarding accessibility of this. After August 1st, will this presentation be available for online or YouTube or whatever?
Totally. I think we'll also record it through with SMC, because it'll be a regular meeting of ours.
Good.
So.
All right. The second question is, how will, just for my information and for people that may be viewing this now, or how will the public be able to access the plan and the other documents that we just approved? Will that be publicized somehow?
Yes, I intend to put them all on the website, and that'll be the main point for access of them. At this point, they're just going to be fillable PDFs to follow up on our conversation from last week. And I'll be converting those tomorrow, likely now that it's approved, and putting them up on the website. We'll also go through the regular town channels to advertise that the application is open.
Great. So there shouldn't be any reason why people can't access that and get their
Character limit in the fields on the application. So I know in the application we do suggest that folks can attach a couple of extra pages if
Right.
they feel they need more space to explain. Or will the fields expand? They just keep writing, do you know?
So yeah, they'll be limited by space. I'll set like a font size minimum, right? So
Yeah.
that they'll be constricted in the fillable form on space, but then we'll also have 2 blank fillable pages that they could write in as follow-up and kind of indicate maybe what question they're answering. And those are the kinds of things we can make clear at the workshop if people have further questions about that.
Okay. Melanie?
Rowan, you mentioned at the last meeting that there was going to be some sort of town-wide email dump set up that, you would send in applications from different departments and so on. Has any progress been made on that, or does it look like it's coming together?
Are you referring to like an application portal?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been in conversation with other staff about that, but the reality is I don't think it'll happen, at least for eligibility. That will probably be a fillable PDF because that'll be due on September 1st. But the full application due on November 17th maybe be able to be converted to a portal, but we'd want to be careful with that if we advertise the location in one and then switch. We just have to be careful, but it may be that we have the capability to have a portal.
Okay.
November.
You don't want to have a bad rollout.
Right. So yeah, we can kind of see. It might just have to work out timing wise, and we can keep talking about it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments at this point? It's a work in progress, but Rowan and Jason will keep the rest of us posted and let us know if you need anything from us.
Yeah. One thing I would like to mention, and I apologize for not bringing it up, the timeline just reminded me of it. In conversation with Jason, I think we would like to explore or at least kind of establish a little bit more flexibility with the co-sponsor form. And I think as a group, I know it'll have to be a little bit on the fly, but he had some concerns about having the hard deadline of September 1st. So and remember the co-sponsor form is that form that if a member of the public wanted to propose a project on town land, they would need to go through departmental meetings. Now, just to say it to the group at this point, we're gonna see how that process shakes out, how many requests for the co-sponsors we get, and if it starts to be that the departments that people are looking to partner with don't have the capacity to meet before September 1st, us as a committee may need to adjust our deadlines for that co-sponsor form, or allow maybe a preliminary conversation or a preliminary co-sponsor form to come in and then be revised, something to that effect.
Or we could simply, if there isn't enough time, they could indicate that on the co-sponsor form, and that could be a required element of if the project at first blush is eligible, and then get the co-sponsor form for the final project. Because in theory, they're fleshing out their project idea or their concept between determining eligibility and the final application anyway. So you'd hate to have a department sign a co-sponsor form and then perhaps their partner take a wild turn and it's not quite what they thought by the time the final application comes.
Right.
we're unlikely to be able to say yes to every eligible project anyhow. So
Yeah.
that might work.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things I think we just might have to work together as a committee to get an understanding, and myself as staff who will be processing all of the co-sponsored requests, I'll have an idea of how many we're getting, and I'll report back if we need to make any adjustments. But I anticipate, to bring this back to the presentation, I anticipate Jason may communicate some flexibility with that part of the application at the time of the workshop.
What else we got on that topic? Any other questions? Anything that any of you might have thought should be included in the workshop that Jason and Rowan might not have thought of yet? Otherwise, we can keep you headed in that direction. It's looking great. The next item on the agenda is correspondence. Rowan, is there any? I'm not aware of any.
There is none. I'll admit I've been corresponding, sending out invitations to the workshop, so I'll update you on those. I've sent out workshop invitations to the workshop to the email list that we collected at the public forum. I've also sent emails out to many of the groups that we met with on our listening tour in the spring. I've sent it out to departmental staff, or department heads and staff, and then any other folks that may have reached out to me in regards to a question about CPC over the past few months, asking to stay updated.
When we did that initial public forum, there was a list that we added folks to as we reached out to them. Were you able to use that list as well? Were there emails in that? Because I recall I added some sports organizations, and some schools.
Yeah, I didn't look back at that. I don't know if there are emails, but if you are connected to those sports organizations, I would encourage you to send an email.
I can do that. So then that brings us to next steps, the final item on the agenda.
Yeah,
So that's being efficient.
Next step is the workshop. So I hope you all can make it. And if there are any questions or ideas that you have for workshop content between now and the 1st, feel free to send them my way.
What time was it again, Rowan, for the workshop? Was it 7?
Yes.
7.
I think I will always be 7.
Thank you. Was there an invite sent out for that, Rowan? If maybe I missed it.
No, I didn't. I don't believe I've sent out Google invites, you mean?
Any kind of invite, just something that I can stick it on my calendar, but I can do
Sure.
that manually. I got it. Don't worry about it.
No, it's a good idea. I'm not sure how many folks use Google Meet, but I'll continue to send out to add you all and send them out.
If you need anything from us between now and August 1st, let us know. Is there anything else, folks, that you wanted to discuss, or anything that we may have missed that you think we should talk about before the workshop?
I'd just like to thank Rowan for all her hard work on this and collaboration with us, and her patience with us as we work through this whole process. I know this is all new to us and her as well. So I think collaboratively we have done a wonderful job, and we should all be proud of the success that we've done this past year, and totally look forward to seeing all those proposals coming into us so that we can continue our work, and keep this going forward. So thank you all, and thank you, Rowan, particularly and Bernie, for all the planning department's participation in this. So I don't think we could have done it without their support. So terrific. Thank you.
So you're right, Gail. It's going to get exciting now. So rest up, enjoy July. We've got work to do in the months ahead. There being nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second?
Second.
All right. Now roll call vote. Melanie, on the motion to adjourn.
Yes, please adjourn.
Gail,
Yes.
Rajesh,
Yes.
Martha,
Aye.
Jim,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. We are adjourned. We'll see you on August 1st. Thank you so much, everyone.
Take
Take
care.
care.